Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I am glad you made it. We have a special guest here, JB. JB, thanks for making it. I am so glad you're here because, look, there has been a lot of questions in the comments regarding going through the process of transitioning and all that stuff. I've done a ton of videos on the subject with regard to ADI specifically. This is directly from the horse's mouth because you are the man. But before we jump into it, I want you to introduce yourself to the folks, give a little bit of your background, who you are, all of that good stuff, kind of where you came from and all of that, so we can introduce you to the folks. Go for it, JB.
Hey, Jason, I appreciate the invite and any opportunity to talk about my experience with ADI after I'm transitioning is always a great opportunity for me to pay it forward to veterans like yourself, Jason. So thank you for the opportunity. Like you said, my name is GB. I just retired from the military in 2023. Spent most of my career in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, as an airborne cavalry officer. And then after I retired from the military, I realized there was a gap in knowledge in trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. So I knew I wanted to serve people, and I entered the auto industry. Yet the auto industry is very distinct from the military. However, we have one thing in common, which is to serve our customers and serve our clientele. But I knew there's a huge gap, right? A huge gap in knowledge. So the Automotive Dealership Institute provides that gap, and I utilize the GI Bill. It's a great opportunity. 4 weeks intensive course, and now I'm actually an F&I manager at the Kia store Clarksville, and I love every minute of it.
That's, you know what, that is awesome. Now, look, for those of you that are watching this, you may have seen videos that I've done on the Automotive Dealership Institute in the past and how you could basically bridge that gap. They'll help you through the process, all of that, get you the training that you need. This here, GB, is the real story. This is kind of how it works. So I'm going to be asking you some questions here on how this kind of transpired. And with your leadership hat on from your military life, I kind of want you to kind of engage a little bit here with the idea that, there may be some younger folks out there who are also trying to, we'll call it, reinvent themselves, right? It's like, look, I was an infantryman, you know what I mean? How do I reinvent myself to be able to go do this? And, so kind of have that mindset too, as we're sharing your own story.
Absolutely.
So my first question to you is, all right, here you are, and you're realizing that you see a gap in where you want to be versus where you are, and you need to bridge that gap, right? So you did some reverse planning, I'm sure, right? This is where I want to be. This is what I need to gain to get there. Who's going to provide that for me? So first, how did you find out about the Automotive Dealership Institute?
Well, the first thing is I wanted to do something very different. Obviously, most veterans with our caliber that has, 15 plus years of leadership management, we kind of want to stay away from the government because you just want something completely different. But we still want to be in service. And I love automobiles. Who doesn't? So I looked it up and just simply Googled, hey, does the military pay for people to enter the auto industry? And sure enough, the Automotive Dealership Institute popped up. So I utilized that GI Bill, and for me personally, I attended the course in Arizona. But for you guys listening, give them a call. You make a decision if it's good for you or not to do it in person or travel out there. But it was a great experience for me, and I was able to, bridge that gap. Now, when it comes to reinventing yourself, first of all, guys, as a veteran, you guys have it in spades. You just don't realize it yet because you're transitioning. You don't know what you have. You're trying to figure it out, and you just got to sit down, maybe take a sabbatical and realize, hey, I do have the skill sets. I do have the leadership, executive mindset. I just got to put a little more sacrifice. And as you guys know, there's no such thing as success without sacrifice. And the mother of success is repetition. So you just got to get after it. Right. You got to keep rehearsing, and you got to have, believe it or not, a good support group. And as you can tell, listening to Jason, looking at his channel, you can tell he has a huge network, and just listen to his videos and, iron sharpen irons, get after it, and make a schedule, and you'll get there. You just got to put in the time. But it's a 4-week course. It's 160 hours from 8 to 5, very intensive. You learn, deal structuring, prime and subprime, menu presentation, product knowledge. And let me tell you something. If you're a veteran, you're a salesman. Here's the reason why. How often do we got to sell guys to do training? How often as a senior leader, you got to recruit people into the military? You know how hard it is to get guys to go to combat and cross the wire? That's salesmanship. You got to connect with the people, right? It's all about connecting. Yes, you got to know, you got to be a master proficient in your battle drills as an infantryman. That's your product knowledge. But you really got to connect with the people and lead them and influence them to get them into the door. Training is important, but you got to be able to influence and connect. That's, ladies and gentlemen, it's salesmanship 101. So if you can connect with people and they like you, people buy products from people they like. So being a salesman is really easy if you just know how to connect and be authentic, like Jason was talking about. Just, you got to get after it.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of good points, GB. I think that one of the misperceptions out there when it comes to sales of anything is, that this, lawyers and sales people, all that grouped up. Be the person that makes that different, right? It's a people business, and there's good people and bad people in everything. And just like every other industry or profession out there, one person that screws up paints a bad picture for everybody, right? The one bad cop at the district really spoiled the whole bunch, right? Made it all look bad. The one night out overseas where you got to go out and go party somewhere, somebody screwed up and now nobody gets to do it, right? So it's, be the person that makes the change. I was in sales myself. I was in mortgages for 12 years. Okay. And it's a consultative sales. And believe me, if you screw people over, they're not coming back and they're not going to refer anybody. That is not what you want to do. You want to be consultative. You want to provide them what they need, give them their menu of options to choose from, pros and cons for everything, lead them down the path so they can make an informed decision, right? And at the end of the day, people appreciate that transparency, I would believe. And if you're working for a place that doesn't appreciate that, well, then maybe you need to reconsider and pack up, right? So don't let that stop you from moving forward with something you think you might be interested in. Look, at the end of the day, information is free. Make the phone call, like GB said. Call the Automotive Dealership Institute. Talk with their VA liaison, their Veterans Affairs person there that handles all that stuff. They will accept post 9/11, just like GB used, and they'll also accept VR&E, which is also a great benefit for folks. So, there's no excuse if this is something we want to get into. And you know what? I want to comment on the fact that you said that you like automobiles. Look, a lot of people do. And if you enjoy automobiles and you like different types of cars and trucks and stuff like that, it's kind of nice to work around that environment because you enjoy it versus I hate lawnmowers. Like I don't care about lawnmowers. Why am I going to go work at a lawnmower store, right? Now, if you love it, then go work there, right? So you there's pros and cons to everything. This is not going to be a one size fits all. This is something that if you're attracted to this, there's a great opportunity. You stated that it is a 4-week program. You go through this 4 weeks, you get fire hosed with all this knowledge, just like military schools, man. You go through a military school and I mean, you're pulling long days sometimes because you're trying to study afterwards, after the day's done. And you're trying to stay up on top of things because the last thing you want to do is not pass, right? And get right. So same type of concept, I think, is that this is very much a fire hose fed for those that want it, those that are hungry, those that are wanting to dig in and move forward. This is the way you want to do it. You get all the information you need. And now, after that 4 weeks, tell me what happens. What happens after you've now, hey, congratulations, pat on the back, you made it. Now, what happens? You talked about support systems and how important they are and connections. Tell me about the process from there.
Okay, obviously every process is going to be a little different, right, Jason? My process is all about context. And we know that it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you now in order to get your foot in the door, right? So I utilize LinkedIn to get connected and people in the automotive institute, right? And veterans, if you're a seasoned veteran, this is what you got with you in your rucksack every single time. You have the skills and you have the qualities already. You're organized and you're commercially aware. And you guys take extreme ownership and self-growth personally. So you already got that off the bat. All you got to do is sell it, right? If you can't sell yourself, you're not going to be a good leader in a sales environment, right? Sell yourself. What people don't understand, especially civilians who are CEOs, right, at a dealership, they don't know what a veteran can bring to their table, right? So I graduated from the Automotive Dealership Institute, right? Great, 4 weeks. For me in the auto industry, they typically promote people within their organization, just like the military, right? You grow up, right? If you're in a Ranger regiment, they're going to try to grow guys in the Ranger regiment to be captains, commanders, or in the infantry. They're not going to try to get people outside. If they do, they're going to be very selective, right? You better have a good skill set. Guys, you're a veteran, you do. It's how you convey the message. So I conveyed that, yes, I lack sales experience in the auto industry, but I combat it with my skills, my qualities, my character, my integrity. I'm organized. I take self-growth personally and extreme ownership. And I do have leadership skills to mentor and manage a team after 90 days of learning the business. And then I can really show them who I am as a leader. Obviously, the first 90 days, learn the job. Be humble. Be very humble because you don't know what you don't know. And being a leadership in a civilian is way different than being leadership in the military. But that was my process, Jason. I used LinkedIn and I already established network through the military. And a lot of people, CEOs and dealer principals are trying to get veterans into the auto industry because of who they are. And they're willing to hire people, veterans that lack sales experience because of what qualities they bring to the table. You just got to sell it.
Right. Yeah. Good point. We are resourceful by nature. It's been ingrained into us. And not only that, and you spoke to it in a way, is we have been trained to be trainable. So
Right.
that is a very, very important thing, especially if you're comparing yourself to some of the newer workforce coming in, who's like, I played 14 video games on that and I understand it. So, which is cool, but no, you don't. You need to take a step back and let me show you the path, right? And the thing is that we need to be told once how to do it, and then we got it.
That's
And
right.
then even if we don't got it, guess what? We're going to be resourceful and we're going to figure it out. And that's an important thing, right? We see the job through as veterans. And I think that there's a lot that, like you said, that we bring to the table that organizations, companies, dealerships really are seen and taken advantage of by hiring veterans. So just having that tagline of veteran at this point is really helping to get our foot through the door. Then that gets us up to the plate to bat.
That's
Then
right.
it's like what you said. We got to be that presentable person, right? We need to be engaged. We need to lean forward. We need to express those things. So kind of working on that elevator pitch, if you will.
That's
So
right.
yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that we can do to really help. And I love the fact you mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn does have a free premium package for veterans that you should absolutely take advantage of. Make sure you treat LinkedIn as a professional website, right? A professional networking site for yourself.
Right.
Don't make it be an extension of like Facebook stuff because you don't want to mix those two things up, right? Professional pictures, so on and so forth, your job skills and what you're trying to convey. Because people will look. That's where we're at, right? You apply to a job, things look good. Maybe you met somebody someday somewhere. They may be looking at that stuff, so you want to have that prepared. Now, my one thing that I do want to throw out is ADI, the Automotive Dealership Institute, does offer job placement services, and I think that networking that they have in place, coupled with any other things, right? I mean, never put all your eggs in one basket. That's ridiculous, right? Do your own due diligence. You try, you leverage, you do your part. if there's a state employment service for veterans, work with them too. Then also have ADI looking. Now you got 3 poles in the water, so to speak. So leverage it all. But I would say that, utilizing ADI could really help you if you're trying to move from one county to another, or from one city to another where you don't know anybody, or maybe you want to leave the state completely and move somewhere else. They may have a network with organizations that are in that specific state that you're looking for. It can help bridge that gap and get you in there. Can you give any indication, now, not your salary specifically, but from your knowledge base, what could somebody expect? Now, let's kind of hone this in a little bit, because it's a very broad range. Because if you're in the middle of nowhere at some little small dealership that sells, 3 cars a month, you're going to be in a different bucket than people that are in more of a high population area with more inventory, more turnover, more pull through rates, all that good stuff.
That's
so
correct.
Let's just kind of take an average kind of area where maybe the population's a couple 100,000 people with some kind of outskirt stuff, where there's a decent population and a decent turnover. So not the highest, not the lowest, something kind of in the middle. What's a kind of a range that people could expect to make in this type of a job?
Okay. Do you mind if I go back one, Jason? You said
something
about resources. Hey, you talked about that network that ADI can do a job placement, right? Up to 90%. Now, veterans, we love using and leveraging our resources. Use the resources they're giving you. They have a 90% placement, and here's the reason why. This is the reason why they like veterans, because they're commercially aware. These guys, being in an institution, they're considered an academy. They know every general manager, CEO across all 50 states. Why not use that resources? And if they can't get you within 6 weeks, then start using yours. But let them do the work, because you don't want to double tap and you bite your foot because you sent a resume too early with no reputation yet. Let the dealership, ADI, send that resume, speak highly of you. And then once they make a connection, once they made a positive connection, then follow, hey, yes, I'm the guy. That's how you do it, or gal. That's how you do it. Use the resources available and let that work. You paying for the school, right? Or the Army is. Use that work for you. Now, back to your question, Jason, in regards to pay. It's very broad, like you say, Jason. It all depends where you are. Rural, metropolitan, city, luxury and BMW. I work at a Kia. I work in Clarksville, right? I'm right there between Louisville, Kentucky and Clarksville. We sell north of 200 cars a month. So my paycheck is going to look different than yours or anybody else. But at the end of the day, it's about the person's positive attitude and how much work they're willing to put in to make that money, right? Because at the end of the day, you're a retired veteran. You're looking for a second career, but obviously you're looking for more financial freedom. That's why most veterans who are entering the auto industry is entering in it, okay? So I would say anywhere between 60 to north of 200. And I know it's broad. I know it's broad, but it is for a reason. It's for a reason. Now, if you work in a group, an automotive group that owns 9 dealerships, Chevy, Toyota, Honda, but all belong to, like, I don't know, Jason Ford, that's their main. Of course, you might make more money because the scale is there. But if you work in a mom and pop store that specializes in subprime lending, people with terrible credit, you can actually make good money there too, because they have no choice but to buy extra warranties because they want to protect their credit. So it's all how you look at it, and you're going to get that. You're going to learn a lot about those processes and pay once you go to ADI. It's very broad. And by the 3rd week of the school, you're going to realize, hey, I kind of want to work in this platform, specializing in bad credit. And guess what? We got one guy who graduated, another veteran who went to Harley. He's making money. We got one guy who's working.
He wanted the discount, GB. He wanted the discount. He wanted to get himself a bike, man.
In fact, he did. He did.
See?
First month there, he got himself a Harley. Obviously, he got a discount because he's an employee. And we got one guy working in an RV. Now, if you're a family man, obviously RVs get sold when? They're seasonal. Obviously, the RVs cost more money, so the commission base is a little different. So you might, I have to sell like maybe 10 cars to equal like that one RV. It's okay. It pays there, but different culture, different atmosphere, and different vibe, if that makes sense. It's all
Yeah.
looking at and how you want to balance your family.
Yeah. And that's an important piece, right? So understanding the demographic that you're selling to, the seasonality, if you will,
Right.
of certain types of products. And I love the fact that you brought up the different environments in which you could do the same job. Look,
Yes.
you might not like cars, but you love motorcycles, right? Hey, go work at a motorcycle dealership. You love boats.
That's right.
Go sell boats.
ATV. Yep.
You have some land and you love tractors, right? I mean, whatever. Go work in tractors, right? They all need financing, and it's all the basic premise. So it's a transferable skill, if you will. So from certain thing to certain thing. So I think that is a very, very important aspect, and I think that there's a lot of truth in, if you follow what you like and love and enjoy, your job's not gonna feel as much as a job, because you're around things that you like. You're around people that tend to like the same type of stuff, and there'll become a brotherhood, sisterhood within that environment, right? So motorcycles, right? It's all a bunch of motorcycle nuts. So
That's right.
you can be having those conversations, and hey, we're closed on Monday because that's a ride day. You know what I mean? So that's how that works. So one last thing for you, GB, is for anybody wanting to enter into this world of finance management at any one of these types of things, whether it's motorcycle, boats, cars, whatever it is, and they've never done it before, but they think they might like it, right? It's a scary thing, right? So my thing is always, look, if you're not a little bit nervous and you're not a little bit scared and you're not a little bit butterflies in the stomach, if you don't have that, you're not growing.
I agree.
It's when you're stagnant, you're comfortable, you know what to expect. Well, you know what to expect. Nothing's going to change. You got the same thing happening a year from now. If you, for example, if you worked at whatever, Starbucks, and here you are at Starbucks, pouring coffees or whatever, or maybe you're a manager, or maybe you're an assistant manager, or maybe you're a district manager, but you don't really love the coffee world.
That's right.
Maybe there's a change here for you, and maybe you love motorcycles, maybe you love cars. What are some insights, suggestions, anything that you would say to somebody who's like in that push and pull aspect of their life?
Right. I would say if you're a little undecided, you don't know which direction to go, pull the trigger. Because any day you don't know what you don't know. And if you try and you don't like it, it's not a waste of time, because you gain that skill, and every skill you learn is still transferable, right? So just go for it, because you're going to spend time burning daylight trying to figure out, I'm not sure. Just do it, learn it. And it's like, man, I actually like it. I was that guy. I was not sure what I wanted to do. I just, I'm just going to go for it head first. Within the second week of attending ADI, I realized this is it. I had no idea this job can be lucrative. I had no idea this job can change my life. Obviously, to make the amount you want to make, you got to put in the hours. You got to put in the work. That's everything, Jason, right? Like you said, every industry, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the effort. Without sacrifice, there's no success. And if you do want to go into this industry, just know, as a finance manager, you got to do a lot with compliance and regulations. And guess what, veterans? That's all we do in the military, especially when you have to become a leader. You're dealing with regulation and compliance and training, right? Just make sure you maintain a positive attitude, have hospitality, and serve others, man. It literally is no different. The language might be different, but the concept is the same. Just get after it. It's a lot of work, a lot of paperwork. But then again, you get to the age where you retire military. That's what you want anyways, right? Be around cars and, and be home with family.
That's right. That's right. All right. Hey, thank you so much for making it. I really do appreciate you being on. And you know what? I might have you on again in the future just to kind of do a check-in, right? See how things are going. If there's anything that you want to share, please reach out, because I'd be happy to have you on again. I think it's just good to have folks be able to, kind of hear it from somebody who's actually walked the path. and can really shine some insights on the process, what it looks like. Is it lucrative? Is it not? I mean, you want to be on here telling folks this if you're like, oh, this is the worst decision I ever made in my life. It's horrible. I'm not making any money. But the reality is, like you said, look, this is what I used to tell my employees when I was in the mortgage business. I was a sales manager for mortgages. And I used to say, when I'd hire on loan officers, look, this will be the easiest low-paying job you ever had, or it'll be the highest paying hard job you ever had. You pick, right? So you either do or you don't, right? And so your paycheck's going to reflect the difference. And at the end of the day, that's on you, nobody else. So with that, hey, GB, thank you so much for making it on. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate you. Love to see your comments on this. Thanks for watching. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.